Railroad Hank, written by Lisa Moser, illustrated by Benji Davies. Read today by Kathy Meyer, RCS Community Library. Railroad Hank and his fine little train rolled down the track. Chugga, 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 woo, woo, woo. Railroad Hank stopped at Happy Flap Farm to talk with Missy May. "I'm headed up the mountain to see Granny Bet," said Railroad Hank. "She's feeling kinda blue." "A plate of scrambly eggs always perks me up," said Missy May. "Take some of my eggs to Granny Bet." Railroad Hank rubbed his chin. "But where do you get eggs?" "From my hands, of course," said Missy May. "Okie dokie," said Railroad Hank. "Wait," yelled Missy May. "Take the eggs, not the hens." Chugga, 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 woo, woo. Railroad Hank stopped at Dandelion Dairy to talk with Country Carl. "I'm headed up the mountain to see Granny Bet," said Railroad Hank. "She's feeling kinda blue." "A glass of creamy milk always makes me feel better," said Country Carl. "Take some of my milk to Granny Bet." Railroad Hank rubbed his chin. "But where do you get milk?" "From my cows, of course," said Country Carl. "Okie dokie," said Railroad Hank. "Wait," yelled Country Carl. "Take the milk, not the cows." Chugga, 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 woo, woo, woo. Railroad Hank stopped at Fish Jump Pond to talk with Reel-a-Min Sam. "I'm headed up the mountain to see Granny Bet," said Railroad Hank. "She's feeling kinda blue." "Oh, a sizzling pan of fresh fish always tickles my toes," says Reel-a-Min Sam. "Take some of my fish up to Granny Bet." Railroad Hank rubbed his chin. "But where do you get fish?" "From my pond, of course," said Reel-a-Min Sam. "Okie dokie," said Railroad Hank. "Wait," yelled Reel-a-Min Sam. "Take the fish, not the pond." Chugga, 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 woo, woo, woo. Railroad Hank stopped at Applesauce Hill, talked with Cinnamon Cobbler. "I'm headed up the mountain to see Granny Bet," said Railroad Hank. "She's feeling kinda blue." "A crunchy red apple always sweetens my day," said Cinnamon Cobbler. "Take some of my apples to Granny Bet." Railroad Hank rubbed his chin. "But where do you get apples?" "From my trees, of course," said Cinnamon Cobbler. "Okie dokie," said Railroad Hank. "Wait," yelled Cinnamon Cobbler. "Take the apples, not the trees." Chugga, 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 woo, woo, woo. Railroad Hank chugged up and up the mountain to see Granny Bet. "We heard you were feeling blue, and everyone sent something to help," said Railroad Hank. He threw open the train doors, and one by one the chickens squawked and the cows stampeded, and water sloshed and apples rolled. Granny Bet looked at all the chaos. She hooted and she snorted and slapped her leg. She shook till her bonnet slid sideways and her shoelaces popped. "Granny Bet," said Railroad Hank, "are you still blue?" "Oh, no," said Granny Bet, giggling. "I'm right dandy." "What fixed you?" asked Railroad Hank. "Was it the eggs or the milk or the fish or the apples?" "It was you," said Granny Bet, "and all the friends you brought to visit. Now let's have a friend celebrating. Glad you came. I'm all better now kind of day." "Okie dokie," cheered Railroad Hank, and he threw his hat up in the air. Yee-haw! As the sun set, Railroad Hank helped everyone find a seat on his fine little train. "That was a wonderful surprise," said Granny Bet. "Now I'm just going to sit and relax and dream about all the fun we had." Railroad Hank rubbed his chin. "But where do you sit and relax?" "On my porch swing, of course," said Granny Bet. "Okie dokie," said Railroad Hank. Chugga, 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 woo, woo, woo. Chugga, 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 woo, woo.